At kung kayo'y baguhan pa lamang sa aking channel guys, pakipindot lamang subscribe button at notification bell para lagi kang updated sa mga bagong videos ni upload ko sa channel ko sa YouTube.
Is Congressman Rog Gutierrez. You are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Magandang hapon po sa atin lahat. Mr. Chair, to begin with, I'd like to direct my questions to Ms. Ronalyn Baterna.
Please proceed.
Ma'am, magandang hapon po.
Good afternoon po, Mr. Chair.
I understand, Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, na marami na po kayong naitanong sa iyo. Marami na pong committee hearings. Pero just for clarification lang po, as we build up in this inquiry, I'd just like to clarify. I believe po na isagot niyo na po ito dati, pero gusto lang ma-clarify para maintindihan kung ano po talaga yung role po ninyo dito sa Lucky South 99. Naintindihan po namin, Mr. Chair, na kayo po ay corporate secretary. Nabanggit rin ni Congressman Anjong, and you have confirmed na kayo rin po yung tagapamahala ng gate pass ng PORAC. But Mr. Chair, nabanggit po ninyo na kapag dealing po with Lucky South 99, ang kilala niyo lang po dito ay si Ms. Cassie Ong. Tama po ba?
Tama po, Mr. Chair.
Pero Mr. Chair, may nabanggit rin na merong mga abogado na minsan through them kumakausap po sa inyo.
Kung saan po galing yung mga dokumento na pinipirmahan ko po?
Itong mga abogado po, they confirm they represent si Ms. Cassie Ong or they represent Lucky South 99?
Miss Cassandra Ong po yung kausap, Mr. Chair. Hindi ko po alam.
Ms. Cassandra Ong kausap.
Opo.
And for the record, kasi nalito po ako naalala ko po at one hearing, may kasama ko pong isang abogado at the next it was another. Sino po yung mga abogado na nag-contact po sa iyo on behalf of Cassie Ong?
May tumawag po sa akin, Mr. Chair, pero hindi ko na po matandaan kung ano yung name. Pero pinapatawag daw po siya ni Miss Cassandra Ong para pumunta sa isang law firm at magpirma para dun sa parang fina-file po nila dun sa San Fernando po, Mr. Chair.
Okay, anong law firm po ito na pituntahan ninyo?
NFC Meralies po.
NFC Meralies. At yung ibang instances po na may abogado na personally na-meet po ninyo, ito lang po ba? Yung sa law firm lang? Wala po kayong na-meet na abogado sa compound mismo while working in PORAC?
Wala po, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Baterna. Mr. Chair, I'd like now to direct my questions to Attorney Roque.
Go ahead. Sige.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Good afternoon po, Attorney Roque.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Chair, my first question po, I'd like to ask, is Mr. Roque aware of a certain Alberto Rodolfo de la Serna?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, sino po si Mr. de la Serna?
He was my EA in Malacanang. He was a member of my election staff. And until March of 2023, he was still in my private staff.
March of 2023. Paano po kayo nagkakilala ni Mr. de la Serna?
Nagkaroon po ako ng project nung ako po'y kongresista na request ng mayor ng Tagbilaran. And it so happened that the project was in the barangay where his mother used to be barangay captain. So nagkaroon po ng inauguration around 2019 at doon po kami nagkakilala doon sa inauguration ng proyekto ng multipurpose hall sa kanilang barangay.
So Mr. Chair, he has roots in Bohol.
Yes, in fact, he is a full-blown son of Bohol.
Born and raised, taga Bohol po talaga
Born
siya.
and raised po.
But from my understanding, he found himself, of course, aside from your employ, he found himself in PORAC, Pampanga. Is that correct, Mr. Chair?
Yes, dahil siya po ay nasa isang aviation school ngayon sa Clark. After we severed ties in March of 2023, was it March 2023 or March of 2023 or 2024? After he severed his ties, umuwi muna, and then he apparently chose to pursue aviation rather than law school dahil ang lolo po niya ay isang famous lawyer din.
So he pursued the aviation school in Clark.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And because of that, he had to move from Bohol to Pampanga.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And he somehow found himself in the compound of PORAC. I believe in another hearing that we've had, you have confirmed that in fact is that correct, Mr. Chair, that you introduced him to Cassie Ong?
Yes, he met Cassie Ong for the first time because he joined us after a court appearance. I think it was for lunch.
So he met Cassie Ong through lunch still under your employ at the time?
No more, no more. He
No
was
more.
already there in Clark. He was preparing to start his aviation school. He started in November, so we must have met Cassie Ong around October because the case that we represented, the Whirlwind, started in August.
Mr. Chair, if he was no longer in your employ, what was his business in that lunch?
Well, he happened to be in Pampanga, and I know that he was in Pampanga because he's told me that he is pursuing aviation school. So he just happened to be there. I happened to be there. I said, okay, magla-lunch kami, you can join us because tapos na naman yung hearing by that time.
And Mr. Chair, the lunch with Cassie Ong was in relation to your function as lawyer for, as you say, Whirlwind.
Yes, it was for the ejectment case of Whirlwind.
Is that normal practice, Mr. Chair, that when you are having lunch with a client, you would bring in other personalities that might not have anything to do with the subject matter of your meeting?
Pinagbibigay alam naman po, no? And of course, I asked if my former staff could join us for lunch, and sabi naman ni Cassie, no problem.
Okay. This has nothing to do with the fact also that, at that time, he was not yet living in Porac.
No, he was not. He was, in fact, in the process of looking for a place to stay in Pampanga.
And Mr. Chair, was that how he was able to find a place to stay with Cassie Ong? Through
Yes, Mr. Chair, because after I had left, they continued talking, and Mr. De La Serna inquired that he was in fact looking for a place to stay na sana malapit sa aviation school, and he was informed by Cassie that meron silang mga accommodations.
Mr. Chair, and you were present during that conversation?
Nakaalis na po ako noon.
Nakaalis na.
Nakaalis na po ako noon.
And how did you come to know that they came into that arrangement of sorts?
Sinabi naman po sa akin later on ni R, nagpaalam din siya. Ang sabi ko lang is meron lang tayong temporary respite dahil na-withdraw, na-recall yung writ of execution, pero suntok sa buwan yung kaso, so prepare to look for more permanent living arrangement dahil it's a 40% chance of victory na baka mapaalis nga sila doon sa lugar na yon.
And prior to, sabi po ninyo, no, nakaalis na po kayo when they discussed the terms of arrangement ng residence niya sa Porac, if ever. Were you aware of his intention to ask Ms. Cassie Ong for residence?
Hindi po. Hindi ko po alam naman na naghahanapan niya ng residence itong si Cassie Ong. Nag-small talk lang po sila after I had left, and lumabas nga po na naghahanap siya. Nagpapatulong siya na magpahanap ng matitiran.
Did you not find it strange, Mr. Chair, that he chose residence in Porac, which is 50 or so minutes away from Clark?
Hindi ko po alam kung ganong karayo talaga yung Porac sa Clark, no? Basta lahat naman po yan siguro malapit. So I did not find it strange. Ang warning ko lang is there's a temporary respite. Baka mapaalis yan. So humanap ka ng permanent na matitiran mo.
So, Mr. Chair, it would appear that this would be the second time that Mr. Attorney Roque has facilitated a meeting of which he claims he has no interest in. The first, I believe, would be the supposed meeting between Cassandra Ong and Chairman Altenco. Would you say that's a fair statement, Mr. Chair?
I arranged that meeting, but ito naman po, it was just a casual meeting. There was no particular purpose involved. It was just that I was in Pampanga. Matagal ko rin naman pong naging staff itong CR. So, I know that he was there because naghahanda nga siya mag-enroll. So, tinanong ko, nasaan ka? Oli ka, join us for lunch.
So, Mr.
Ganun
Chair,
lang po.
coincidence seems to follow Mr. Roque. Mr. Chair, may I ask, the residence of the Mr. De La Serna, this is the same residence that was raided during the POAC raid sa Poro.
Isa po doon sa mga buildings, pero ang explanation po niya is hiwalay po yung tirahan doon sa lugar kung saan naroroon ang negosyo. So he was living doon sa area na puro living quarters lang po.
But it is within the compound, Mr. Chair.
Actually, hiwalay po siya eh. May dalawang gate eh. Isang gate papunta doon sa residence, isang gate papunta doon sa where the business is conducted. So, hindi ka makakapasok doon sa gate na where the business is conducted kung ikaw ay nandun lang sa accommodations.
It is not where the business is conducted. However, business documents were yielded from that raid. Is that correct, Mr. Chair?
Wala pong business document as far as Pogo is concerned dun sa raid na yon. Hindi ko po alam kung ano talaga ang nakuhang raid because I'm not involved in the motion to quash as far as Lucky South is concerned. No?
But Mr. Chair, I believe in another hearing that we've had, you claimed that the documents that were yielded from his residence in relation to you were from that residence, Mr. Chair. I believe they were bank documents and appointment papers.
Yes, these documents were personal documents to Mr. De La Serna. They had nothing to do with Pogo.
But they are not related to Pogo, but they are business documents, Mr. Chair. They are official. Appointment papers po siya, hindi ba?
Well, yung appointment paper po niya, yung siya initially appointed sa Malacanang, isa po yan dun sa nasa files niya.
I would say that's business po. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Chair?
Well,
Let's
hindi na
put
po.
Pogo aside. Business papers po yun. Appointment po yun.
Well, government po appointment yan. It is more of memorabilia kasi ang appointment po niya every 6 months and that was his first appointment. Hindi naman po permanent appointment yan. No? Every 6 months po nare-renew yung mga appointment ng mga staff ng classification ni R.
Are your banking documents also memorabilia, Mr. Chair?
No, but the banking documents were appended to a visa application because naimbitahan po ako ng Ukraine at meron pong gera sa Ukraine nabago po ang mga plano. So yung mga original na dapat kasama ko umatras. So ang sabi ko, kung wala ka pang ginagawa, at sabi niya wala pa naman, di pa naman siya nagsisimula, samahan mo ako dito sa Ukraine. So ura-urada po, we had to get a visa from the Polish embassy kasi dun po ang entry point to Ukraine. But the Ukraine government being the sponsor arranged our visa for Ukraine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for that very long history of the appointment papers. Mr. Chair, so yung residence po niya in that compound, or you say it's separated by a gate or two, it is the same place that has been raided by PORA.
That was raided in
Also the
Porac.
same office address that is subject of the two subleases between Whirlwind and Lucky South 99.
I am not sure po because from the news, I know it's 49 buildings. Plus, meron pang separate corporate office na parang hotel, no? So I am not sure if that's the same address.
But that address is the same subject of the ejectment case that you were handling. Is that correct, Mr. Chair?
Yes, but the ejectment case was on the basis of transfer certificate of title, not address, Mr. Chair.
So your supposed dealings with Whirlwind were discussing the same subject property. The sublease, at least based on our records, as you say, there are 49 buildings, but I think the area properly describes the same subject area. And this is also the place where Mr. De La Serna's residence was and where the raid yielded documents related to you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Chair, it's a 10-hectare property which consists of 49 buildings in addition to what used to be hotels, I believe, being used as offices, not just by Whirlwind but also by the lot owners, the crews.
Mr. Chair, akala ko po sabi po ninyo na di nyo alam kung kasama po ito sa
Alam
subject
po.
ng sublease, that particular building. Pero you mentioned now that
hindi
you
po.
confirm now that it is part of the 49 buildings.
No,
If the large 10-hectare...
Sinasabi niyo po na ang ejectment case po is involving the 10-hectare property, pero yung renade po, may mga buildings na hindi kasama dun sa lease apparently, no? And that's just basing on newspaper reports. Kasi pati po yung isang building doon na parang hotel, na parang bahay o office ni Mr. Ruperto Cruz. Di ko po alam kung nasama yun sa search.
Thank you for the clarification, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'd like now to go to a question on Biancham. Actually, our colleagues here have questioned this exhaustively, and I'd just like to pick up bits and pieces which I think I have not been answered yet. Mr. Chair, Biancham was incorporated at what year po ba?
2015.
2015?
I think 2014,
2014.
and then the articles were amended 2015.
2014. So from the very first articles of incorporation, ano po yung setup po ng shareholdings nito?
It was intended to be a family corporation only. It was intended to be part of our estate planning. So doon namin lalagay yung mga assets na ma-acquire namin, and so that pag may mangyari sa amin, the corporation will continue to exist and our children and their family members will only pay tax on the transfer of shares of stocks.
Understandable. Estate planning is a common legal practice and it's been done by multiple families, not necessarily billionaires.
Yes,
But
Mr. Chair.
generally, in the estate planning stage that you had for Biancham, it was a 50-50 arrangement, except for the nominal shares, the other three.
Yes, Mr. Chair. In the beginning, it was 50-50 before we decided to embark on land banking, in which case other family members got involved already.
However, Mr. Chair, within that same year, even before land banking, I suppose, kasi 2014 din po, it was increased. Your particular shareholding was increased to 97%.
Well, yung 97% po, I don't remember because this is 2014 and 2015, no? Pero ang importante po talaga is it will serve as estate planning for the family. It will hold title to our properties, although hindi mo namin in-include ang family home, no? Because the family home naman has a specific treatment under the civil code.
Mr. Chair, I just find it curious kasi po kung estate planning po talaga ito, it usually considers the husband and wife, which
Yes.
you did verily consider when it was first incorporated. But shortly after incorporation, yun nga po, sinasabi po dito based on the records, you took hold of 97%. So nawawala na po dito yung share ng inyong asawa.
I do not recall, Mr. Chair, but I've always believed that we were equal. I do not remember now, but in the end, our current arrangement is my wife will own 100% of Biancha.
Mr. Chair, that yet remains to be seen because as per the papers,
Yes,
these
but-
are all plans in the air. Because as far as we're concerned, Mr. Chair, in 2014, upon incorporation, 50-50 po kayo ng asawa niyo.
Yes.
Sans the nominal shares of the other nominees that were mentioned by Congresswoman Nograles. Shortly, within the same year, you have assumed shares up to 97%. And that has been the case up until Percival Ortega, who I assumed was purchased, but you say it's a trust agreement. And that was in what year again, Mr. Chair?
This is 2020 po.
2020. So from 2014 to 2020, 97% Harry Roque Corporation po ito.
Hindi ko po maalala. I really need to be refreshed dahil wala naman po sa akin yung mga dokumento, no? But ang nangyari po, since we had the 2017 sale of property and nag-land banking po kami, Biancham ceased to be an exclusively Harry Roque, Myla Roque, and children company. It now involves siblings and an aunt.
Mr. Chair, how were the siblings and the aunt involved after 2017?
Well, because the money that we invested in Bataan came from our respective shares from the sale of our land, which was 1.8 hectares in multinational Parañaque,
Mr. Chair, the sale was in 2017.
2017.
But from 2017 to 2020, none of your siblings, cousins, your aunt appear in the papers of Biancham, Mr. Chair.
Wala po kasi ang totoo po niya, nag-iisa po ako sa Pilipinas. And my aunt is under my guardianship, no? Dahil siya po ay may mga karamdaman, no? So, yun po ang problema ko. Nag-iisa po ako sa Pilipinas. I administer everything on my own. For and behalf of everyone.
Mr. Chair, but for all intents and purposes, legally, based on the papers, it is 97% Harry Roque from 2014 to 2020. Notwithstanding the story that you are in trust for your relatives, notwithstanding the story that you are guardian for your aunt, it
Well,
remains to be your corporate.
We have a trust agreement where I recognize the share of my other family members.
Mr.
And
Chair, really
Mr.
quickly,
Chair.
sorry. Trust agreement in 2020.
Well, ito po yung 2020 na binigay naming trust agreement nga kay Attorney Percival Ortega. But I've always acknowledged that I hold property in trust for my aunt. And as I said, I've even declared it in my SALN.
Mr. Chair, well, the silent we have not seen yet, so we're looking
Yes.
forward. And again, we thank Mr. Roque for his forthrightness and initiative to include, as he repeatedly said, going back even prior to his congressman days.
Yes.
So, Mr. Chair, that point being, yung trust po, it's easy to say that now. Yung GIS po, that is what is legally binding as far as we're concerned, as far as we can see. Even the supposed trust agreement that Mr. Roque is mentioning, the earliest that we could see that it has actually had any legal effect would be 2020, if it is even true. Because as far as we're concerned, Mr. Chair, sa GIS, sa AFS from 2014 to 2020, it's really 97, 98%.
That is
Mr.
true.
Harry Roque.
That is true, Mr. Chair, but this is family, no?
Yes.
And actually, I dealt only with family who wanted to engage in the same undertaking as me. 2 of my siblings did not join us. They got their shares. So as far as siblings go, total of 4 out of 6 siblings decided to engage in land banking.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I'd like to move on to another question. Biancham is the 99% owner of PH2. And
Yes,
as
Mr.
been pointed out earlier, PH2 is the supposed Benguet controversy po, no? Dito po natagpuan yung isang red notice Interpol suspect na Son Liming, which Mr. Roque claims he does not know because it is already a sublease. Mr. Chair, matanong lang po, would Attorney Roque be aware, Secretary Roque, would he be aware of the value of this PH2 lot in Benguet?
Yes, nakita ko po yung aking sale contract. Mura ko pong nabili yan, 1.5 million.
1.5 million. So that is well within the, ano pa yung valuation natin ng PH2 Corporation in shares?
Well, I think it has to be adjusted. Kasi ang ginawa lang po namin is linagay namin ang PH2 because we intended na itong property nito is really going to be for resale, Mr. Chair. So, in case we sell it, we would have to sell it through sale of stocks, no? But I admit that we have to revalue it because the buyer, whoever the buyer is, would also consider the valuation of the property as reported in financial statements. But we have to adjust the values of the property.
Mr. Chair, ano po yung latest value po ng property?
Actually, hindi ko rin po binalyuhan kasi yung binili lang po namin yung lupa. Tapos nagpatayo na pa kami ng bahay and I admit I have to increase authorized capital stock to also make it more attractive to buyers that it is realistic to the value of the house.
Well, I mean, that's understandable, Mr. Chair. No? Sometimes we peg things at cost. However, we very much like to know the valuation. Mr. Chair, so you mean to tell me in all these years, kailan po itong pinatayo, yung PH2? May we know, Mr. Chair?
2019 po yan po.
So from 2019, you have not had this valued, you have not used it for mortgage, you have not used it as collateral in loan?
Hindi po. Tinirang ko lang po yan. Tapos tinitignan ko nga how strong the market is, no? And I've tried to sell it, pero no takers. Kasi maganda po yung subdivision namin, pero wala pong tubig sa Baguio. Kaya yun po ang problema, hindi pala ganun kabili magbenta. Miski mukhang maganda yung subdivision.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I'd like to move on to FBMHC. This is First Bataan Mariveles. I forget the full name of your corporation. It mentioned here that the stake of Biancham for 50%, counterpart to Green Mile, was 35 million, Mr. Chair. Do you confirm this?
Mr. Chair, yes.
What is the source of this 35? Is this also sourced from the land banking from the sale in 2017?
Precisely po. Dito po kami nag-land banking, Mr. Chair. Yung aming nakuhang proceeds na share namin na roughly equivalent to about 45 million because 45% of the total value of the sale because apat pong magkakapatid yung naghati doon sa sale na yon. Binigay yung share ng dalawang lalaki. Yung dalawang babae po ay kami po yung mga anak na representing 1/4. Tapos yung auntie ko po na single is the other 1/4.
So, Mr. Chair, the sale that you're mentioning, the generation before you, yun, na apat na siblings.
Apat na siblings.
So, you are entitled to 1/4
1/4
of the 200 million.
Of the 200 million. And then my aunt was with us because single po siya and she lived with us all our lives.
So, you would also assume her half, her 1/4. Is that correct, Mr. Chair?
Well, kami po talaga yung heredero niya and we've always considered her as part of the family, not just an aunt.
So, as far as you're concerned, you are dealing with the one half of the 200 billion. The other half, the proper claimants have taken hold of the property.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
So that pegs it at around 100 million, Mr. Chair?
About 100 million, Mr.
100
Chair.
million. And this is what land bank the supposed 35 million in Biancham.
Yes, that was the initial investment, Mr. Chair.
So, Mr. Chair, the payment of yung Biancham, the 35 million, together with the Green Mile, this went into the purchase of the 400-hectare property?
310 hectares po.
310 hectares. And the valuation total was?
We bought the property po at 100 pesos per square meter.
Apologies, Mr. Chair. I'm really bad at math. Ano po yung total value po nun?
Well,
Yung
that's
purchase
100
price?
pesos, so that's 310 million po.
310 million. But your share was only 35 million. How did you purchase the 310 million? 35 million from you, 35 million from Greenmat. That makes it 70 million. How did you come up with the 310 million?
Well, una nga po, ang unang bibili lang namin was supposedly 90 million worth kasi 90 hectares. And then our consolidator offered, lakihan na natin ng 200 million. Payag pa rin po ako dahil kaya pa namin nung up to kalahati ng 200 million. Pero nung natapos na nga po yung 200 million, sabi ko hindi na namin kaya yan, ikaw na yan. No? So my partner on his own proceeded to purchase other property para lang makumpleto yung buong bloke. Pero hanggang ngayon po, hindi pa rin po kompleto yung buong bloke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, okay, 35 million supposedly for a 35 million from you, 35 million from Green Mile to purchase a 90 million worth hectare property, but somehow you're able to refinance your way to 300 million.
Hindi po refinance, we just coughed up additional capital. No? So, ang sabi ko po, we invested a total of 95 million and my partner coughed up the difference between 310 and 95. So,
Sorry,
mga
Mr. Chair.
200 po.
This is a 50-50, not a JV, no? It's a new corporation between Green Mile and Biancham. Biancham coughed up 90 million or you coughed up 90 million?
Well, it was in the name of Biancham, pero ang ginamit ko po nga is yung pera from the proceeds of the sale.
Mr. Chair, why do we... Mr. Chair, I'm sure you understand the difference in legal personality between you as heirs, as beneficiaries of the sale, and Biancham, which is a separate legal corporation. How come we treat it as if the money that you get as your personal, as an heir, you can easily reinvest on behalf of Biancham?
Well, because we intended to reflect everything at some point, no? And we're in the process of doing that po, no? We are in the process of doing that. Medyo tedious nga lang yung process, the accounting process, no? Because this is actually property for stock transaction already, no? But mas convenient po yan kasi ang sabi ko nga, lahat po ng kapatid ko nasa abroad. So, hindi po sila makapirma ng every time may bibili ng property. So, ginagamit po namin yung corporate vehicle. At saka ang bumibili naman po is yung First Bataan at shareholder lang yung Biancham. So, we provide the capital when needed but up to a certain amount.
Mr.
Ganun
Chair,
po.
this is, as a lawyer, you made purchases out of convenience at the risk of legal infirmity?
Hindi naman po, because this will be reflected, no, in the shareholdings. No? That's what we're doing right now. It's a bit tedious po, lalo na dahil namatay nga yung aking tiya at meron ng estate aspect ito, but it's being done now.
Mr. Chair, is this convenience in relation to your siblings or is this inconvenience to the fact that Biancham is 97% owned by you?
Hindi na nga po kasi inaamin ko naman po na yung mga kapatid ko ay merong share dyan sa Biancham. Hindi ko pa yan pinagkakait. And they
Mr.
know
Chair,
that.
apologies. It's very difficult for you to say that they are entitled to a share when legally they are not in the papers. I understand your intention to bequeath to them, perhaps their fair share eventually, but as far as we're concerned, when we talk of this corporation, it is you and only you, Mr. Chair. Wala pong kinalaman yung inyong kapatid po dito, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, kaya nga po dyan pumapasok yung pagiging kapamilya. I have been acting as the father figure to these three siblings of mine. I have never intended na gulangan ko sila and they trust me completely, no? Because I don't do anything to breach the trust. Diyan naman po pumapasok yung pagiging kapamilya.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I'll move on po, no? Although I'm sorry, I find it very hard to believe that legal luminaries such as Attorney Harry Roque would allow for legal infirmities in these very, very sensitive and serious transactions, which involve not just millions, but the hundreds of millions. Now, Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask, and again, we appreciate your initiative to have submitted the sale of the property in 2017 and that you have so kindly explained to us now. We also appreciate, and personally, I do appreciate your concern regarding the trust that you have this with your family, the privacy that you're seeking. But I hope, Mr. Chair, that Attorney Roque understands that there are some questions that are left unanswered. And as much as we would like to respect this story of family and privacy, there are just some questions that are left unanswered po, no? So, going back, we have the 35 million in FHBMC, which is not properly written in the books. He mentioned 35 million upfront he spent for Biancham from the sale. Then he also mentioned an additional 60 million which he coughed up from the sale. That puts it at 90 million just in FHBMC alone. Mr. Chair, how can we explain then in 2017, Biancham reported, as was pointed out by Congresswoman Luistro, 60 million in cash and 125 million in cash advances. This is way beyond your share of the sale, and this is way beyond the full purchase price of the sale, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, yung cash po na 60 million is precisely what was used for the land banking. So, doon po ginastos yung cash ng kumpanya para bilhin po yung mga lupa.
Mr. Chair, you mentioned 2017 po yung land banking.
2017 po yung bentahan.
Bentahan.
Opo.
And the purchase of the Bataan property was when?
Started in 2018 po.
2018. But the recording of the 60 million in cash under Biancham, not under First Bataan. It is
Yes.
under Biancham.
Yes.
Was only in
17.
Allow me to check, Mr. Chair. For the period of 2018.
2018 nga po. So, yun nga po yung ginamit namin for the purchase, preparing nga po for the land banking. So, pinasok na po yung cash doon para lahat ng mabibiling mga property, yun yung marireflect na contribution po ng Biancham.
So, Mr. Chair, when Biancham was in receipt of the 60 million pesos in cash, and Mr. Chair, would you care to explain the 125 million in advances dito sa AFS?
Well, ang advances po kasi is, yun po yung mga binibiling property na hindi pa po na-increase ang authorized capital stock. Now, at 2017, well, actually po kasi itong recollection ko talaga, no? Although ang records namin, mas alam po na aking partner, but I have a list na ang aming recollection, well, at least ang listahan ko is 2017 nagsimula kami magbayad. So, ang recollection ko po is sa 2017 nagbayad kami ng kano ba ito? 102 million. Tapos ang 2018 we paid 96,302. So, yan po yung mga cash advances na kinakailangan i-convert into equity later on. Dahil ang advances po talaga kapag pinurchase ng property will have to be converted into shares. So yun po yung allowance para nga ma-recognize yung mga cash advances to go to the people who in fact provided the capital.
Apologies, Mr. Roque. Perhaps I'm not as adept as you in your corporate matters, but it just does not add up, Mr. Chair. Like I mentioned, it was in the AFS 2018 in which, for the period covering up to December 2018, that you reflected 60 million increase in cash and 125 billion advances for Biancham. However, it was actually in 2017 where you already reported payment of 35 million for FHBMC.
Yes. Okay.
So how come, Mr. Chair, you have reported already as early as 2017 in FHBMC, which means Biancham has already invested in FHBMC, and then only belatedly in 2018 recorded cash for the statement ending December 2018. And the property sale was in 2017. And not only that, Mr. Chair, one more thing, why it does not add up. Sabi po ninyo, yung 60 million cash earlier was not for FHBMC. You mentioned it was for purchase of shares, which there was no increase of shares in the GIS of Biancham nor in FHBMC.
Well, let me clarify now, no? Unang-una po, cash went out even before the sale was perfected. Kasi meron po kaming
Another
contract
legal
to sell.
infirmity.
Hindi po, contract to sell. Kasi siyempre, may initial payment ka, hindi naman po lahat yan outright na deed of sale lahat. So meron pong mga pagkakataon na nasa ng titulo, yung mga iba po kasi wala pang titulo, yung mga iba kailangan pang isettle ng estate. So meron po kami mga cash advances talaga na may mga kontrata na contract to sell dahil hindi naman po sila lahat deed of absolute sale kaagad. So in fact, ang unang linabas namin, and I remember this now, is sometime in 2017, pero wala pa pong deed of sale yun kasi parang 40% ang binayaran namin and they have to submit everything, no? Including titles before so that we can commence with the deed of sale. So hindi naman po yan na isang give lang, no? So meron kami talagang mga contract to sell muna, and then when they perfect all the documentation, that's when we pay the entire
Mr.
purchase
Chair,
price.
apologies, but in 2017, your corporation was only worth 1.5 million.
Yes po, because hindi pa po nabibenta yung aming lupa. Kaya nga po tumaas yung aking cash position because nabenta nga po yung lupa.
For 2017.
In 2017 po yan na nabenta, no? So,
This is period covering up to December 2017, Mr. Chair. So at the end of 2017, all transactions for 2017 should have been reflected. And yet, after the sale of land in 2017, 1.5 million lang po yung worth of Biancham, which you claim is the vessel in which you have used to invest in FHBMC worth 35 million in addition to 60 million in cash and 125 million in advances. Mr. Chair, your testimony does not make any sense.
well, it does po, no? Because as I said, pag bumibili naman pa ng lupa, hindi naman cash lahat yan. May mga advance payment po yan.
Mr. Chair, it should have at least reflected as liabilities or payables in your
Well,
AFS.
siguro nga po, maybe that's why, as I said, I'm not a corporate lawyer. Political lawyer po talaga ako. I'm even an international lawyer, no? That's what I teach, no? So ako naman po, I rely on what the accountants will say, no? Pero makikita nyo naman po, merong effort to reflect somehow kung ano yung mga nangyayari. Kaya nga po nagkaroon ng 60 million cash ang pumasok sa Biancham kasi ipinasok nga po yan intended to purchase property. At ano naman po yan, sumabay naman po yan, Mr. Chair, doon sa panahon na nakuha namin yung proceeds ng bentahan ng lupa namin sa Parañaque, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, unfortunately, for someone such as yourself, as a legal luminary, I find it hard to believe that you would be unaware of the infirmities surrounding the failure to report these kinds of things. And in fact, that's the precise point of having an AFS. This is independently audited. You have an auditor for this. So how come you're able to deal willy-nilly left and right between FHBMC, Biancham, together with Green Mile, yet it is not properly reflected? And even if we say it's reflected eventually, you always say that it's going to be fixed in the future. I hope you understand, Mr. Chair, the frustration of how it's very hard to make sense of the story. Because, Mr. Chair, as properly as Chairman Ace mentioned, why we want to look into this, and as I mentioned, why we have to look into your family matters. It's easy to claim yung pamilya po namin nagbenta ng property. It's easy to claim that this property was, this proceeds were used in investing here. But for as long as hindi po siya natatrace sa money trail, I don't know if the committee will accept the explanation na aayusin po namin yan later on, or aayusin po namin yung cash flow investment. Because, Mr. Chair, the most glaring, the most obvious, easily, with an investment of 60 million in cash, which your AFS already mentioned was in subscription, not in FBHMC, but in Biancham itself. For the succeeding GIS, 12.5 million pa rin po yung shares ninyo. Hindi naman po siya nag-increase by 60 million. So there seems to be a disconnect. And Mr. Chair, let me connect this now. If I may conclude, Mr. Chair, I'm sure you and I both are very confused with the allegations. I think, Mr. Chair, what I'm trying to drive at here is that there seems to be some great confusion with the finances na might not be necessarily of Mr. Attorney Harry Roque, but at least of Biancham, which is alarmingly related in a way, at least with PH2. And why do I say alarming? Mr. Chair, I'd like to bring this back po, no? Yung nabanggit po natin dati. Yung sa previous hearings, which I think as the Quadcom, as the successor of those individual hearings, we can take notice po of the facts that are mentioned. And I'd like to mention these facts, and I'd like to ask Mr. Roque his thoughts on this as a summary po, no, to really put into light why we're asking these questions. Number one, Attorney Harry Roque represented over LS 99, Lucky South 99 property.
Mr. Chair, I did not.
You did not. You claim that it is Whirlwind, but it is the same subject property.
Well, it is.
It is. Okay, thank you,
because
Mr.
there's a wonderful
I will
fix.
tie into that later on.
Yes.
Second fact that I'd like to state, Mr. Harry Roque facilitated Lucky South 99 meeting with Chair Tenko.
Well, Mr. Chair,
You did this. You had 6 missed calls with Attorney Rivera ba yun?
Yes.
You've set it up. You yourself said when Cassandra Ong met Chairman Tenko, no whirlwind matters were mentioned. It was all purely Lucky South 99.
Mr. Chair, I did so.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
because-
Mr. Chair,
because
please allow me to...
Mr. Chairman,
Allow the member to finish his question first before you reply, Attorney Roque.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair,
Most
proceed.
respectfully, Attorney Roque, I understand that you will have your time to rebut these later. But I hope you understand, as a lawyer especially, that there's a line of questioning that I wish to pursue. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Number 3, Mr. Harry Roque was cited as legal representative in Lucky South 99 application. This was mentioned by Chairman Tenko. He was cited as legal representative in their organizational chart. May we hear your response on this particular matter, Mr.
Attorney
Chair?
Roque, please.
that was not authorized, Mr. Chair, and I have emphasized it over and over again. And I have said that that paper is only evidence that it exists. It is not evidence of the truth of matters stated therein, as in fact, Attorney Jessa Fernandez said that information was unverified.
Thank you, Mr.
She
Chair.
said that
So
on
it
record.
exists as proper documents with PADCOR, official applicant documents. Mr. Chair, Mr. Harry Roque has bank documents which were discovered in the Lucky South 99 raid. He's already mentioned this earlier. Mr. Chair, number 5, Harry Roque's executive assistant and confidant resided in Lucky South 99 when Porac was raided. As already mentioned earlier. Number 6, Harry Roque's subsidiary Biancham owns 99% of PH2, which housed San Liming, Red Notice Interpol suspect who has links and is cited as IT administrator of Lucky South 99. Number 7, Harry Roque's holdings have, we still have to discuss this, but I believe, as far as we're concerned, legally, putting aside your story of family, has unexplained increases worth 60 million in cash, 125 million in advances, and 35 million in investments in FHPMC. And lastly, Mr. Chair, the last point was actually about 35 million. So as I mentioned, why I asked this earlier, it seems to be, for every point when taken individually, Mr. Harry Roque has some explanation. It's either, not to quote this, not to be brash, but you have to understand how much we take this with disbelief na may namatay, they won't be able to testify, it's a family matter, it is private, I have nothing to do with it, I am not the lawyer. All of these are usually plain denials on the part of Mr. Harry Roque. However, what I mentioned earlier, it seems to be that coincidence hounds Mr. Harry Roque. Seems to be coincidence follows him around and could explain everything. But the fact of the matter is, Lucky South 99 seems to hound Mr. Roque. As I mentioned it, he has been representing over the property subject by Lucky South 99. His executive assistant lived in the compound of Lucky South 99 despite living an hour away from the aviation school in Clark. He also has he has arranged the meeting between Cassandra Ong and Chairman Tenko, which he says was supposed to be whirlwind, but as far as we're concerned, and the testimony not by Haroki, but by Chairman Tenko himself, was that all that they discussed was Lucky South 99 matters. And the list goes on and on, the back documents found there. It is mentioned that it's because it is memorabilia of his EA. But the fact of the matter is, Lucky South 99 strikes again. Mr. Chair, of course, I'm not saying this as a final verdict, but I hope you understand, Mr. Chair, that for the Quadcom, we are here to listen to every piece of evidence, and they all seem to indicate one direction. And the missing piece now, I think for me it is clear. I don't know with the rest of the members of the Quadcom. At best, there is a link with Lucky South 99. At worst, this is a terrible, terrible string of coincidence. But one thing that we should ascertain from this point on, why I was reserving my comment for the motion by Congresswoman Luistro to request for the documents of the trust, for the documents regarding the family matters of Mr. Roque. While we understand the want for privacy, Mr. Chair, these coincidences seem like more than just coincidences. And the missing link now, if we see that there is a link with Lucky South 99, the question now is that we have to verify, how do we explain these supposedly, as far as I'm concerned, unexplained increases through his subsidiaries and through his companies. So I think, Mr. Chair, that should be the direction, at least for the portion regarding Mr. Harry Roque. And Actually, Mr. Chair, I still had some questions regarding the leases, regarding Ms. Paterna and his relation with Jairo Roque, and we have other questions regarding Lucky South 99. But seeing as we have been now at this hearing for 6 hours, 7 hours, I think I would like to yield to the other interpellators in the hall. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Attorney Roque, for the indulgence.
Thank you, Congressman Gutierrez.
Thank you for watching, guys. Just click on my YouTube channel, Al Johnny Rick.